What is poppin', y'all? It's a man, Clawboy Bales. Welcome to another episode of Wisco Sports Weekly, where today, I could consider it weekly Wednesday predictions, but I guess by the time I edit this video, it will probably be Thursday. But regardless, I have predictions today. Cactus League kicks off for pitchers and catchers only. Obviously, everyone shows up next week, but it's baseball season. Football season is over, and we have moved past, and it's baseball season. And just like last year, I give 20 predictions for what I think will happen this season. Last year, I was completely wrong with some of my predictions. Last year, I predicted that Jesse Winker was going to hit 30 home runs and be an all-star this season at the designated hitter spot. Boy, was I wrong. But a couple of them, I was right. I said that Brian Anderson was going to be so bad that the team would just not play him. I was correct. So, you know what? There are some, I was right. I said Rowdy Tellez would struggle this season. Last year. I was correct on that. But you know what? Based on from what I'm seeing, I feel like I've understood this team to the point where now I realize I believe I know what will happen. Definitely, things I could totally be wrong on. And definitely, if you don't agree with what I think, definitely comment below. That's what YouTube's for. If you like what you also see, subscribe to me. And of course, we will get down to business. Number 1, I think Christian Yelich will sadly regress this season and look like how he did in 2021. I know everyone's out here saying Christian Yelich is going to have a bounce back year and he's going to really look like his MVP self. And after watching this from Christian Yelich, everyone's expected the same thing. And then all of a sudden, it just splats in your face. Yelich had the best year, obviously, since his MVP year last year. But everyone's anticipating he's going to get like 30 home runs, a bunch of stolen bases, lead the team. No, I think he's going to struggle just like he did in 2021. I think he's going to regress. I just unfortunately see that. I think he'll hit maybe like 15 home runs, get a 2.60 ERA. It's going to be regressing. He's going to strike out a lot. It's going to struggle. He'll not, because of him being his status, he won't be obviously sent down, and he will be injured a lot as well. And that, I think, is going to be a huge problem. But it is Christian Yelich, and you know what? If I'm wrong, and he's proved me wrong, that is definitely something very possible. At the number 2 spot, my number 2 prediction, sorry, I'm just so bad at these videos. The number 2 prediction, I think that Jackson Chourio will make the roster on opening day. Not just that, he will break records, tons of records, like crazy, and be the anticipated player that he is. I believe he will also win the NL Rookie of the Year. I think this Jackson Chourio guy, if they are anticipating that this guy is going to be the real deal, I believe it. The whole league knows. He's getting comparisons to Ronald Acuna and Julio Rodriguez, who are right now 2 of the hottest players in baseball right now. In my opinion, they're both in my top 5 for best players right now. So the fact that Jackson Chourio is getting these comparisons is already saying what already needs to be said. He is going to be a stud. My number 3 prediction is that Willy Adames is traded at some point this year. My girlfriend loves Willy Adames, and every time I bring it up to her, it pisses her off. And the means, I think that Willy Adames will actually, despite having some bad batting averages the last 2 years, he's definitely going to have a better year, and he's going to be traded. Monasterio, Ortiz, or Terang will spend a lot of time there after that position is filled. Once they'll fill that position once he's traded. That's what I mean, but that's what I see. Number 4, William Contreras will be an all-star this year. I think he's really hyping himself up. I think he is primed to have the best season. I think he'll have the best batting average for a catcher for sure. he's going to really shine this season. I think, he's really turning into the player I expected him to be, especially in the second half of last year. Contreras is really going to be a great player. I can't wait to see what he brings next year. All right, number 5. I think Freddie Peralta will have the best year of his career for being an ace. He will also have a no-hitter, and he will finish in the top of the Cy Young voting, losing to, unfortunately, Yamamoto of the Dodgers. But you know what? It's out of bias. But Freddie, I can't wait to see what he really brings. I mean, it's going to be epic. I think he'll get maybe a 3.30 ERA. I think he'll struggle a little bit, but then he'll come on just like he did last year. Hopefully he stays the season healthy. Number 6. I think this one might not surprise a lot of people. I've been saying this for a little while, but I think Bryce Terang will not make the opening day roster. Monasterio and Ortiz will boot him out of that role. We'll see Terang at points this season, but unfortunately, he's going to really struggle this season, and I don't think he's going to really turn into the guy that I think that everyone sees him being. I'm sorry, I just don't really see it with Terang. Number 7. I actually think that Tyler Black will make the opening day roster, and I think he'll be the best rookie this season. Why? I know everyone's like, why you're saying this over Chourio? Yes, I think Chourio will kind of be up and down the majors and minors because of his age a lot. But I think Tyler Black is actually going to contribute to the point where he is the starting permanent third baseman for the Brewers. I know that they have Brock Wilken, who they drafted last year, and they're really expecting him to be that guy in the future. But Black can also play first base, too. So, depending on where that goes, third base or first base, I think Tyler Black, to me, I think he's the next Goldschmidt. He's the next Paul Goldschmidt in my mind. That's what Tyler Black, I believe he is. Number 8, I think Sal Frelick will win a Gold Glove this season. His debut was one of the best debuts in MLB history. He is fast. He can make catches. I mean, the catches that this guy made last year was insane for a rookie. This guy is going to be a Gold Glove. I am 100% positive he will win it this year by being the full-time starter at right field. I think, he'll split time with some other guys because of our depth and our outfield, but man, he's going to be a beast. Number 9, Devin Williams will have the best year of his career, but only finish with 20-plus saves. Why? Because he will be traded this season as well. He will win the Pitcher of the Year despite that. I don't know where he's going to go. I think he's going to go to a team that needs a closer, and he is going to actually get them to the on a big playoff run. I love Devin Williams, but I think it's best if we moved on from him, knowing that we don't have the money for him either. I know he has I think a year or two left on his contract, but I think he should be traded as well. Abner Uribe, who obviously everyone's anticipating to really increase his playing time, will be the permanent closer for the future. Number 10, I think that DL Hall becomes the stud that this team anticipates him to be. I like his stuff. He really showed the potential that he had as a pitcher with the Orioles. I think he is going to be a full-time starter and, honestly, a possible ace. I mean, I look at him, he's a lefty, which is the only thing, but I think he is going to be a valuable piece in this rotation this year. Next up, Gary Sanchez. We just signed him to a 1-year contract. Unfortunately, I think he will start a designated hitter this season, but the same thing's going to happen. He is going to do Winker awful for the Brewers. And when I say Winker awful, I mean Jesse Winker is who I'm talking about. He's going to do as bad as Jesse Winker did. He's going to get cut. They'll DFA him at some point this season. And then Yelich and Contreras will split time pretty much at that spot. At number 12, I think that Rhys Hoskins has a comeback year. He'll hit about 25 home runs, but then obviously he'll opt out of his contract and he'll be playing somewhere else. I think this is just a rental for when Tyler Black eventually, or Brock Wilken, takes that position in the future. But it was great to see that Rhys Hoskins comes as a Brewer. I think he'll be a major contributor for this team this year. Number 13, I think Aaron Ashby never becomes a starting pitcher for the Brewers. I think he is going to get the role that Brent Suter got his entire career. If everyone remembers, Brent Suter was a starting pitcher for the Brewers. Then, due to some injuries, they decided to just put him on the bullpen. And next thing you know, he just became a reliable player for the bullpen. And I think he's going to get that same role as well. Aaron Ashby has the same pitching style as Brent Suter did. I think Aaron Ashby will never start a game. I think he is going to be a bullpen pitcher. Number 14, I always say this every season, there's going to be a minor league player that comes from the shadows and becomes a stud. Last year, that was Andrew Monasterio. This year, I think it is Jahmai Jones. If you remember, he had that clutch, bases loaded hit where that he uncleared the bases and tied the Cubs in that game back on July. I think that was on the 4th of July. I don't know. But that was that, and that was a great moment. I think he's actually going to become a great player for the Brewers. Might be a designated hitter, possibly. But I think he will definitely be the guy that comes out of the shadows and shows up. At number 15, I'm going to go back to the pitchers. I think Joel Payamps and Elvis Peguero both struggle this year. I don't even think Elvis Peguero will even make the roster, by the way. I think Payamps and Peguero both struggle this year. They both don't have the years that they did last year. But Payamps loses his setup spot. And then I think Peguero will kind of go in and out of the minors a lot. Payamps will be DFA'd. And McGill and Hobie Milner will both take over those setup spots. That's just how I see it. At number 16, Garrett Mitchell, despite not starting every single game, will hopefully stay healthy this season and be the exciting impact player that he can be. I think he's going to be a guy coming in pinch hit situations and getting clutch plays, home runs, just like Tyrone Taylor did back in 2021 and Jesus Aguilar did back in 2017. I think he's going to really have that role. He's going to get plenty of stolen bases. He's going to pinch run a lot because of his speed. I can't wait to see what Garrett Mitchell does. I think he's going to be an actual key contributor player. I hope they give him playing time due to the depth that we have, but we'll see. At number 17, the spot that I think that we have a lot of guys in the minor league system that are going to likely become stars in the future. Robert Gosser, Carlos F. Rodriguez, and Jacob Misiorowski, who I think is going to be a future ace and honestly could be one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. I think Misiorowski will actually be one of the best. He'll be considered one of the best pitchers in baseball by some point. But all these guys, due to injuries and, well, what do you expect when you have Jacob Junis, Colin Ray, and Joe Ross possibly being starters? Those guys, I think, will come in the game, and they will be actually some of those guys might actually become starters. But it's a rebuild year, so what do you expect? Next up at the 18th spot, I think Jefferson Cuero will be the backup catcher by the end of the season. Once we get into maybe about August, September-ish, I think obviously, as I said, Gary Sanchez is going to struggle. I don't think he'll even be catcher. Eric Hosty is also going to struggle. He'll be cut. And I think Jefferson Cuero is going to have such a great year in the minors that are actually going to bring him up, and he'll be starting catcher at some point this season. Now, all right, 19. I think Joey Wiemer, he's a guy I haven't really talked about that much. I don't think he'll ever develop his bat, and I think he'll actually spend the whole season in the minors. He might be called up due to injuries, but due to the depth that we have, I just don't see Wiemer really developing that offensive role that we saw, that we wanted to see last year. I think it's just going to stay down low. And then finally, my final prediction at number 20, I think we have an up and down season. However, they will have a good enough September, but this season is going to remind me a lot of that 2017 season, the year before they got Yelich and Kane, the year before, they're going to try to make a run, and they're going to really show that they can win games and be at a high level in the coming years. I think they'll finish with just above a 500 record. They'll miss the playoffs, but the end of September is going to make everybody want what's more for this team. And hopefully Jason Lane is finally fired. So if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts, and spring training is here. Go Brewers. We'll see you next time.